statutory auditors, and secretarial auditor of the company, ladies and gentlemen, very good evening, and it gives me an immense pleasure in welcoming you to the 51st annual general meeting of the company through webcast audio video conferencing facility provided by Cdsl. I trust your family and you are keeping well in this unprecedented continuing pandemic. It has been a difficult year for everybody. With a plethora of vaccines and new therapies that modern science and the pharmaceutical industry have delivered at unmatched speed, humanity is not as helpless as when the pandemic first struck. With discipline, focus, and fortitude, we shall overcome. From MPS, we have witnessed substantial progress powered by our relentless efforts to diversify our business. Our steps towards diversification have brought us new revenue streams, expanded our customer base, and broadened our enterprise to enable a strong geographic foothold for a more stable business capable of standing tall, even through turbulent times such as the COVID-19 pandemic. In this momentous year, I would like to place on record our gratitude to all the shareholders for their support and inspiration to achieve newer milestones. May I introduce the directors, the senior management officials, and the auditors present through video conferencing and who are visible on your screen. Mr. Rahul Arora, Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of the company, responsible for the overall business of the company. He is attending this meeting from New York. Mr. Ajay Mankotia, Chairman of the Audit Committee. Mr. Mankotia is an independent director of the company and having accounting, tax, and financial management expertise. He is attending this meeting from New Delhi. Mrs. Jayantika Dave, Chairman of Nomination and Remuneration Committee. She is an independent director of the company and with a wide experience in human resources and financial services sector. She is attending this meeting from Gurgaon. Ms. Achal Khanna is an independent director of the company and having vast experience in human resource management. She is attending this meeting from Gurgaon. Dr. Piyush Kumar Rastogi is an independent director of the company with wide experience in audit, financial accounting, and corporate law. He is attending this meeting from Noida. Yamini Tandon is non-executive director of the company with wide experience in marketing and strategy. She is attending this meeting from New York. Mr. Sunit Malhotra is company secretary and chief financial officer of the company. He is attending this meeting from Noida. Mr. Sashank Agarwal and Mr. Ravi Thakur from Messrs. BSR and Company LLP statutory auditors and Mr. R. Sridharan of Messrs. R. Sridharan and Associates secretarial auditors are also present and are visible on your screen. On behalf of the MPS Board of Directors, I want to thank shareholders and auditors for taking the time out to join us today. The requisite quorum is present, and therefore I call the meeting to order. I would like to take you through certain points regarding the participation at this meeting. The facility of joining the AGM through video conferencing or other OVAM is being available for members on first come, first served basis up to 1,000 shareholders. All the members who have joined this meeting have been by default put on mute by the host to avoid any disturbance from background noise and ensure smooth conduct of the meeting. Once the question and answer round starts, the moderator will announce the name of shareholders who have registered as speaker shareholder one by one. The speaker shareholder will be unmuted by the host. To start speaking, the shareholder is requested to click the video on button enabled by the moderator for you. If shareholder cannot join through video for any reason, the shareholder can join through audio mode. If there is connectivity issue at speaker's end, we will request the next speaker to join. We would like the shareholders to limit their questions, queries, suggestions to 5 minutes only so that other shareholders may also get a chance to speak. In accordance with the Companies Act 2013, the rules framed thereunder and listing obligation and disclosure requirements regulations, the company has provided remote e-voting facility to all its members to cast their votes on all resolutions set out in the notice of the AGM from June 27, 21 to June 29, 2021. Additionally, the company has provided the facility of voting through e-voting scheme during the AGM. Only those members who are present in the AGM through VC/OAVM facility and have not cast their vote on the resolutions through remote e-voting and are otherwise not barred from doing so shall be eligible to vote through e-voting system available during the AGM. Mr. R. Sridharan of Messrs. R. Sridharan and Associates, Company Secretary, has been appointed as the scrutinizer for the purpose of scrutinizing both the remote e-voting and the e-voting at this AGM in a fair and transparent manner. In case shareholders have already cast vote through remote e-voting, he she shall not again cast their vote today during AGM, and in case you cast a second vote today, your second vote will be treated as invalid. If any votes cast by the shareholder through the e-voting available during the AGM, and if the same shareholder has not participated in the meeting through VC/OAVM facility, then the votes cast by such shareholder shall be considered invalid, as the facility of e-voting during the meeting is available only to the shareholders attending the meeting. Your voting rights shall be in proportion to your shareholding as on the cutoff date, that is June 23, 2021. There are no directors and key managerial personnel of the company who are holding shares in the company, and no director or key managerial personnel is concerned or interested in any contracts entered during the financial year 2021. The documents are available for inspection for the shareholders of the company. Notice and annual report. Ladies and gentlemen, notice dated May 26, 2021 for convening this AGM, along with a copy of the annual report for the financial year ended March 31, 2021 has already been circulated to members of the company, hence taken the same as read. Auditor's report. The statutory auditor's report on the financial statements, standalone and consolidated, of the company, and secretarial auditor's report for the financial year ended March 31, 2021 does not have any qualification or observations or comments on financial transactions or matters which have any adverse effect on the functioning of the company. Accordingly, the statutory auditor's report and secretarial auditor's report are not required to be read out before the meeting as provided in the Companies Act 2013, and hence taken the same as read. CEO and Managing Director presentation. In continuation of the past year's practice, we have a presentation on the business operations of the company. I hope you will find it informative and relevant. I request Mr. Rahul Arora, CEO and Managing Director, to make the presentation. Over to Rahul.
Thank you. Utkarsh, if we can have the presentation on the screen. Good morning, everyone from New York. I hope all of you are staying safe and healthy and continue to exercise a cautious approach, as we all hope that the pandemic will be behind us at the turn of the year. Next slide, please. Over the course of the next 10 minutes or so, I will recap our story, discuss where we are headed, describe the principles under which we operate, acknowledge our transition into a growth phase, and finally recognize the support of our chairman, the board, and our shareholders in helping shape MPS into the vibrant company we are today. Next slide, please. We've completed 50 years in 2020, and MPS has seen a series of innovative evolutions during this period. I'll take the next few minutes to walk you through our story. MPS started in 1970 with humble beginnings as a captive unit to Macmillan Publishers to deliver on the business benefits of cost arbitrage. It was clear that this initiative would be more extensive than what was originally imagined when Harold Macmillan inaugurated MPS 6 years later as the Information Processing Division. From there, MPS grew steadily, expanding its customer base beyond Macmillan. At the dawn of the 90s, E. Macmillan was established to capture the opportunity associated with digital. Capacity was expanded with new facilities in Bangalore and Gurgaon in 2000. Capabilities were expanded too with the addition of fulfillment and BPO services, as well as technology solutions. And while 2 acquisitions were completed between 2005 and 2010 to advance the business in educational publishing, this period was forgettable for MPS as we fell behind the curve as competitors raced ahead. Next slide, please. A decision was made by the Macmillan ownership and management groups to divest MPS sometime between 2008 and 2010. Our chairman in 2011 saw a bold opportunity in MPS, while others saw challenges. And with an entrepreneurial spirit, he completed the acquisition of MPS in 2011-2012 beyond resources that he controlled at the time, though grounded in publishing experience. The early days were busy as he led the charge hands-on and transformed MPS with signs of recovery, showing every sequential quarter since the change of ownership in 2012. A bureaucratic, top-heavy, and slow-moving organization was now a lean, agile, and growth machine. Some of the key drivers included a drive toward profitability, a turnaround of the books division, leaner operations, and a setup of operations in Dehradun. There was also the small mercy of a significant depreciation of the rupee. Next followed a series of acquisitions. We acquired industry-leading companies at attractive valuations. We ensure that every acquired asset gave us access to new customers and expanded our capabilities, thereby enhancing our competitive advantage. Between 2013 and 15, we acquired Element, EPS, and TSI to secure our educational publishing practice. We then acquired new business through aggressive sales and marketing. We also then raised 150 crores through a QIP process to expand the business further. Between 2015 and 2018, we saw a merger on our customer side, which was unfavorable for MPS. Our content solution business faced some pressure due to lower pricing and volumes. We then diversified and established a platform business through the acquisitions of MacPlus and Think. Between 2018 and 2020, we acquired first the Tata Interactive Systems Group, India, Germany, and Switzerland, to establish a third business segment called e-learning solutions. The core business was still getting impacted, with both subsegments of the content solutions business taking a beating for the first time together in 2019. Our cumulative loss from the merger I described previously also increased during this period. Though 2020 was very different, we positioned ourselves as an exceptional content solutions partner, and the business again started to revive. We also diversified further by expanding our platform business through the acquisition of Highwire Press. Next slide, please. While the past 5 years have been what we describe internally as diversify to survive, MPS finds itself now at an inflection point, poised to usher in a new era of organic growth. This growth will be fueled by our core strategy to transform, innovate, maximize, and elevate. And we are calling this period Time to Thrive. Next slide, please. To thrive in the new phase of MPS's expansion, we will transform ourselves into a platform business. This shift is sure to beneficially impact all aspects of our business, including people culture, process excellence, and technology investments, and will flow across all business interests. The alignment of the strategy with customer needs and the enviable starting point of our comprehensive platform ecosystem enables this strategy. Our platform-led approach will help us innovate new operating models for our customers in a meaningful way. The series of innovations we aim to introduce will help our customers navigate through their rapidly evolving markets. Next slide, please. Our ability to connect the dots for our customers will help us finally maximize our scale to its full potential across all our markets. Ultimately, our compelling value proposition, grounded in demonstrated and tangible business outcomes, will elevate our positioning in the marketplace. Next slide, please. I now want to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of the baton. Mr. Nishit Arora, the chairman, will be retiring from the board after this AGM. He has been associated with the company since he acquired MPS in 2011-2012. As I described through the presentation, this was a journey that he envisioned and shaped. All of us are hugely indebted to him and now take upon us a great responsibility to carry forward his legacy. I wish to express our deep sense of gratitude, and on behalf of the company's entire board, request all of you to join him in wishing them the very best. Let us also not forget the tremendous contribution in the improvement in the company's corporate governance during his tenure. MPS today is then a leading provider of content, learning, and platform solutions for industry leaders across the globe. We are now $60 million in revenues and 3x the scale since our chairman acquired MPS in 2011-2012. But most importantly, we are now entering a thriving phase. Thank you.
Nishit sir, you're on mute. Sorry.
Thank you, Rahul, for the presentation. The resolutions to be voted at the meeting are as follows. The ordinary business and special business is set out at page 229 of the annual report in the notice of AGM. Members are free to exercise their vote now by following the procedure mentioned in the notice. Now we will take questions and invite speakers one by one who have registered for this purpose. With a view to giving adequate opportunity to all, I again request members to be brief and concise while expressing their views or asking questions. Please do not repeat questions earlier asked by a member or already responded by the company.
Yes, we have received 3 speaker shareholders registrations for this AGM. Now I request moderator to please allow Mr. Dipankar, followed by Mr. Abhishek, followed by Mr. Deepak Joshi to ask questions.
Mr. Dipankar, you can speak now.
Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, Dipankar, we can hear you.
Okay, so good evening and thank you for the opportunity. So my first question is that this year you have not paid any dividend. Now, last year there was a very good buyback, which was really good. But please remember that you have different types of shareholders. You have large shareholders for whom the buyback is tax efficient. And at the same time, you have small shareholders who hold 100 or 200 shares who normally won't participate in buybacks. So in all the other IT companies, the payout to the shareholders is a blend of both buyback and dividend, which takes care of the interests of both sets of shareholders. So I would request that next time the board decides on payout to the shareholders, please keep this fact in mind. That is my first point. My second point, I come to the financial statements of the company. Note 31.8 of the consolidated financial statement reads as, the company does not foresee significant downsizing of its employee base, rendering the physical structure redundant. I'm sorry, but I don't exactly understand what is sought to be conveyed in this. If you are telling us that you don't intend to retrench or make any of your employees redundant, that part is understood. But if you are telling me that in the post-pandemic scenario, not even 1 inch of physical space is redundant, then I'm sorry to say that you are out of sync with the entire Indian IT industry. Every single IT company in India has announced over the last few months that there is no going back to the old normal. 100% of the workforce is not going to be in the office 100% of the time. Different ratios are there for different companies. Somebody says 70-30, somebody says 60-40, but all are unanimous that there is no going back to the old system. So I do not understand how you can say that nothing of your physical space is redundant in future. And if that is so, my next question is that companies holding investment properties valued at 32 crores, which do not generate any income, not even a single rupee's worth of income, and we have to incur expenses of 30 lakhs per annum on maintenance and depreciation. So please explore the possibility of quickly disposing of these properties. Even after paying tax, you can still generate sufficient cash for yourself and you can put that cash to use. My next question comes regarding your business. First of all, my compliments on growing the content solution revenues by 11%. This is a really creditable achievement because this is a commoditized business where you are competing mainly, if not exclusively, on price. Platform business was good and it was expected to be good. So again, my compliments. But I cannot agree with the reasons which you have given for the decrease of 24% decline in revenues in the e-learning solution segment. You have blamed this on COVID-19. See, if you take credit for the good performance, you must accept responsibility where you don't perform. Just for comparison, I will tell you that NIIT in the Indian listed space, they have corporate learning group revenues of 800 plus crore in financial year 21. And they had a growth of 20% during the last year, exclusively on account of the corporate learning group. And like you, all their corporate learning group clients are from Europe, North America, and Oceania. In fact, they have attributed this spectacular growth last year entirely to the digitization brought about by the pandemic, which has forced companies to more or less give up physical training and switch completely to the e-learning road. Now, coming to the specific reasons which you have given in your analyst con call of 27th May, you have specifically blamed this poor performance on the e-learning solution on sectors like aviation and travel. First reason. Second reason is significant delays due to lack of available client personnel. So if the first explanation is taken, I would just like to know how much does aviation and travel account for in the total business of the e-learning segment. And the second reason that the client personnel were not available simply doesn't make any sense to me, because your entire interaction with the client personnel is digital. That you use modern collaborative work tools which are available in the digital space. You don't need to be in physical contact with the client representative. Even if the client representatives are working from home, as most of Europe and America was doing, that should not have been a problem. The only way this could have affected you was that if all your client representatives were infected with the coronavirus and were hospitalized or were ill. It's possible, but highly improbable. My next question is, in your annual report, you have said that attrition has come down to an unprecedentedly low level. It would help if you could give the figure. Every IT company in India gives the attrition figure up to the first or second decimal place. So I don't understand why your company doesn't disclose attrition levels. And the subset of this question is that over the last 10 years, you all have made a lot of acquisitions in the US and Europe. So I would just like to know broadly, what is the experience with the staff whom you acquire? Because many Indian companies have cultural fit issues when they acquire companies in Europe and America, and typically a large number of them leave within 3 to 5 years. So what has been the MPS experience over the last 10 years? And my final question is that the last budget has disallowed amortization of goodwill as an admissible deduction in computing tax. So this will raise your future acquisition cost because that tax shield will no longer be available. So what is the impact this will have on your future acquisitions? Will this diminish your appetite for acquisitions? If you could throw some light for that. So I think I've covered all the points which I wanted to ask. Thank you for the time and good evening.
Yeah, thanks, Dipankar. If you can just allow Abhishek, we can
Sir,
ask
in a minute. Yes, sir, in a minute. Mr. Abhishek, you can speak now.
Okay, okay. Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
So my name is Abhishek, shareholder of the company. My DP ID IN 301637 and client ID is 41359155. First of all, I congratulate the management on the eve of 51st annual general body meeting. Trust all is well with you and your family in this challenging situation. Our company deserves much more respect than the current market cap after completing more than a decade of successful operations, profitability, and dividend history, and becoming one of the strongest brand in our respective industry segments. Sir, I would like to know where you see the light in the end of the tunnel and what will be the growth triggers in the first half and second half. Sir, how many employees we have sacked, hired, salary cut in percentage, if any, because the coronavirus and the subsequent lockdowns have left virtually no industry untouched? Any cost-cutting initiative being done by the management? Any salary cut was being taken by the management during the pandemic time? And what is the view of the management going forward? Sustainability of profit earning growth will remain challenging in the coming quarters. And what are the management efforts to improve the working capital, sales ratio, ROC, EBITDA, and interest coverage ratio? So then, what are the management efforts to reduce the other expenses part, legal professional charges and audit fee? Then in page number 46, sir, then we can see that we have around 5 subsidiary and 1 holding company. So how much dividend do they declare to the parent company year on year? And page number 75, we have around 12,696 shareholders. So how many shareholders have attended the annual general body meeting today, and what is the minimum quorum required for the annual general body meeting? And page number 77, we have around 13,947 in shares still hold in physical form, that is constituting of 0.74 percentage. So what steps have been taken by the management to bring the same into dematerialization? And page number 98, regarding the details of the 2 property, Residency Road and Brigade Road, are being given in the legal and regulatory requirements for 11 crore 99 lakhs, and the other one is 46.91 lakh. I do remember that 2 years ago also the company has liquidated some property in Bangalore. So this is the same one or the other one, and what are we going to do with this property? Kindly give some brief on this particular subject, sir. And page number 99, we have a lot of contingent liabilities and disputes being pending with various forums like income tax, sales tax, etc. And these are being pending since 2006. So what steps have been taken by the management to overcome the same and settle the same as soon as possible? I would request the management to, because instead of continuing the cases for 20 long years for a small amount, we will be incurring a lot of legal expenses instead of settling these disputes, and try to settle the same through Pradhan Mantri Yojana by paying 50% of the amount so that we can get rid of these cases as soon as possible. And page number 103, we have some what are our intangible assets, sir? It around 2,239 lakhs, that is constituting around 22 crores. So who valued it, sir, and what are our intangible assets in our company? Nothing much to ask, sir. I wish the company and the board of directors a great success and prosperity in the coming future. Thank you for giving the opportunity, sir.
Thank you. Can you just allow Deepak Joshi to also join?
Yes, sir, in a minute. Deepak Joshi, sir, you can speak now.
Hi, I hope I'm audible. Good evening, everyone. I am Deepak Joshi, representing PineBridge Investments. We would like to express our gratitude to the board, team management, and each and every employee of MPS for their astute leadership, steady guidance, and unflinching commitment during this trying period. We appreciate your concerted efforts in making this journey both adventurous and worthwhile. We at PineBridge look forward to this partnership in the coming years. Thank you very much. This is more of a gratitude to Mr. Nishit Arora since this is his last AGM as the chairman of the company. So we wish you all the best and thank you very much for the contribution to the growth of this company. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nishit sir, you're on mute.
Thank you for your kind words, and I'll request Sunit and Rahul to take up to provide answers to the questions and observations.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll start, and then Sunit, maybe a couple of questions you can take over. So firstly, thank you for everyone for your gratitude and the warm wishes. Also, thank you for the constructive feedback. We always, appreciate this type of feedback because it allows us to improve as a business. So there was, a comment on, buyback plus dividend. As you described, that the board meets on that regularly, and we've noted your submission. On the question on whether we are going to see a reduced physical infrastructure going forward, absolutely yes. We are reducing our physical presence. We reduced our physical presence already in Chennai and Kolkata, and I absolutely agree and echo your comments on the fact that we will no longer be going back to the way things used to be. We are working out what proportion of our workforce will permanently work from home, what proportion will work from home in a non-permanent way, and what proportion will come to office in a permanent way. We found that certain type of roles actually have done better and are more productive because of reduced commute times in cities like Bangalore and Mumbai. So we are also examining things from that perspective, but completely agree with you that once the dust settled down on this pandemic, we will definitely be looking at a new normal, and we are actively reducing our physical infrastructure as well as reducing our other expenses. There was a question on the two properties in Bangalore. We are absolutely exploring the possibility of divesting that presence, as well as looking to see if there's opportunities to rent that physical space out. Again, as you are all part of and are interested in the growth of the company, if you do have any leads, please reach out to our CFO. We are actively looking to divest and actively looking to lease out that space. We haven't found the right match just yet. If you know someone, please reach out to us. On the there was a question on the e-learning side. Yes, you're accurate in saying that the marketplace has grown this past year. The marketplace has been growing at about 10-11% every year in the e-learning space, and 2020 was in fact did give tailwinds to the marketplace. What we described was that we had a unique situation going on, that we had a high concentration of revenue. We had four out of our top 10 customers were impacted by the pandemic. These included companies in the energy space, companies in the aviation space, companies in the travel space, and the hospitality space. So our four tier one accounts, which were more than $1 million for us, we saw a slowdown from them during 2020. So while the team worked diligently to replace that revenue, it took longer time than it should have. And yes, because of that high concentration of revenue with customers that were in those industries that were impacted, as much as 4 customers, and each of these customers was more than $1 million in revenue for us. We did see a downward trend. Having said that, the future looks promising. 3 out of these 4 customers have already woken up. 1 customer has started to engage with us. Plus, we've also been able to add new logos. So we're very optimistic about the next couple of years in the e-learning space as we bounce back. There was a question on, we've been doing a lot of US and European based acquisitions, and if there have been any staff and cultural misfits. I think we've been fortunate that our acquisition of the three companies that we did between 2013 and 2015 through our subsidiary MPS North America, the way we were able to manage the integration of that staff and headcount, which is about 50 people, has allowed us to then follow the same sort of integration with the future acquisitions, and we have not seen any cultural misfits. In fact, we've seen many people from the acquired entities grow to higher levels of management. In fact, out of our senior management team of 9 people, 4 of them came from acquisitions. So it's actually been very successful for us, and we actually see that as a differentiator. Very often you look at IT companies that acquire businesses outside of India trying to plant their own personnel, but we've been able to integrate and grow management from the acquired businesses. I think that's a very big differentiator for MPS in the marketplace. There was a comment on the last budget and the disallowance of goodwill and tax computation. Does this impact our future acquisition strategy? Well, most of our acquisitions are outside of India, so it does not affect that part of the acquisition strategy. If we were to pursue acquisitions in India, we will definitely be using this as a lever to negotiate harder when it comes to India-based acquisitions. But bulk of our acquisition strategy is focused on non-India based acquisitions, and therefore it doesn't impact it in a significant way. There was an ask for the attrition rates. Sunit, I'll request you to share what the attrition rates are in a minute. There was also, a comment on the market cap and what is the light at the end of the tunnel. From our perspective, we're really focused on building a good business that has sustainable organic growth, and the markets then decide how they perceive our story and our growth. From our perspective, we are at a very interesting phase. As I described, we're entering a time to thrive phase. Our content business, which we pretty much thought was impossible to grow, benefited from the pandemic because we were able to significantly differentiate ourselves from the competition. So the fact that 50% of our business, which was becoming very difficult to grow, is growing again, has given us significant tailwinds. We're very bullish about the platform business because we've been told by the marketplace that the type of IP that we possess is far ahead of our competition, both in terms of depth, but also in terms of the comprehensive nature of our ecosystem. Again, on the e-learning side, we had a tough 2020, but we are very, very confident that we will have a strong the next 2-3 years on the e-learning side. So overall, we're expecting, to enter, as I described earlier, a thriving phase now for MPS after having spent the last 5 years really diversifying the business. There was a comment on cost cutting. As you all have who have followed MPS know that cost management is something that is table stakes for us. It's a given for us. Something we do very actively. We've been reducing our other expenses, both in terms of administrative costs as well as things associated with physical infrastructure. On the people side, given that our business is growing, we do not expect a significant reduction in people. Having said that, we do not also expect a significant addition in number of employees, because we now have a very stable base. And as we see growth, we expect it to be highly margin accretive. There was a question on legal expenses and what are we doing to reduce our past liabilities. As we saw, this is something that again our CFO and head of legal are working very diligently on. In fact, this past year we made a settlement with using the Vivad Se Vishwas scheme. So we're very proactive in this approach, and also through the chairman of audit committee, who has very strong experience in the space, we've been able to navigate the space under his leadership. There was a question on intangible assets. Again, Sunit, if you could answer the question on what was the approach of the valuation process, as well as what are these intangible assets, that would be great. There was a question on the 5 subsidiaries and whether we are redistributing profits back to the parent company. We have basically identified these 5 subsidiaries as vehicles of growth, which basically means our future acquisitions as well as future organic growth is going to be coming from these subsidiaries. So much of the capital that's there in these subsidiaries will be allocated towards growth, and that's the perspective in which we are not currently redistributing profits from those entities. That's kind of what I had in terms of answers, but Sunit, I'll hand it over to you to answer a couple of the data type of questions.
Thank you, Rahul. I think you've answered most of the questions. There are a few questions which Rahul has not answered. I would like to answer them. One was regarding the physical shareholders that still are there in the company. In fact, we have sent repeated reminders to all the physical shareholders of the company to convert their shares in the demat mode. In fact, our RTA is also in active touch with them. But somehow or other, we have not managed to. There are still 50 plus shareholders who are still holding their shares in the demat form. And our effort is to make sure that we bring this number down substantially. In fact, there are a couple of cases wherein we have managed to find out that the shareholder has shifted the address and the new address is not registered with the company, or there are a couple of cases where the deaths have been reported. But otherwise, at our end, our endeavor is to have all the shareholders in the demat form. The second was regarding the attrition in the last financial year. We had attrition rate of 17.5% in the last financial year in our company. The third was regarding the valuation of intangible assets. In case of all the intangible assets, we have a process wherein this is being carried out by an independent valuer, and basis that independent valuation, we also spend considerable time to go through the projections to make sure that those are correct from all parameters. And those are also being reviewed by our statutory auditors, in fact, their valuation team. So we go through a very detailed process in terms of valuing our intangibles. I think so far as Rahul has also already answered that for contingent liabilities for the tax related matters, we took a lot of steps to make sure that wherever settlement could have taken place to avoid any unnecessary lingering of those litigations, and we have successfully achieved that, which has been completed in during this financial year. So I think with this, anything else which is there, we would be happy to send the response by mail. And because there were a couple of specific questions regarding finance, so we will be sending the reply to them.
Okay, so is that the, can we then proceed, Sunit? Can I proceed further?
Yeah, you can now proceed further for the e-voting by the shareholders for the next 15 minutes. And
Okay, so I'd like to thank all the shareholders for taking the initiative to join this meeting through video. I want to thank all our directors and auditors for joining this meeting. This is my last interaction with you as chairman, as I'm not seeking reappointment as director at this AGM. And I leave the company in with a very strong management team led by Rahul. We have a wonderful, diverse, and competent board. And company, to my mind, is when I look at the company today from what it was 10 years ago, it's a much stronger company. The secret sauce, I think, we should now see the secret sauce coming together to so that the company grows organically going forward. And I think Rahul and his team are focused on that with a very supportive board. So let's wait for them to now deliver to all the shareholder expectations in the years to come. Thank you very much for all your kind words, Rahul. And for me, this is just wonderful that the company is strong enough that I can retire and play my golf and tennis. And thank you everybody for enabling this. And wish all of you a wonderful, future and wonderful success in the years ahead. Now I authorize Mr. Sunit Malhotra, CFO and Company Secretary, to conduct the voting procedure and conduct the meeting. The e-voting facility will remain open for 15 minutes to enable those members who have not cast their vote earlier to cast their vote now. The consolidated results of the remote e-voting and the e-voting at the meeting will be put on the website of the company as well as CDSL and shall also be announced to NSE and BSE within 48 hours of conclusion of this meeting. With your consent, I and other board members would leave the meeting and wish all shareholders a healthy and safe future. I declare the meeting closed.
thank you, Chairman. Thank you, all the directors and all the panelists. So may I request that you can, then we just continue with the voting process now.
Okay.
For 15 minutes. You can drop out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, with the permission of chairman, we are concluding this meeting. Thank you all for the participation. Remote e-voting session will remain open for another 15 minutes.
Sunit, other directors can leave and yourself and myself will continue to stay for 15 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Utkarsh, you also.
Utkarsh, you can also leave now.
You can stay, sir, no problem.
Utkarsh can stay. Yeah.